Hello, sir.
Morning, afternoon. Afternoon?
It is afternoon.
It is
yes.
afternoon. It's a late one.
Yes.
Davlar and I are discussing business things.
Everybody's going to say, what is it?
I know. And then we got distracted and then had to move cars around. So today we have an R8 with a problem. Like normal. The titters from a twat. So let's get through the intro and I will tell you why it's here. Although right now I think I've forgotten. No, it's misfire, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, moving on. I have checked my script and I remembered exactly what we're doing now. So this is a 2008 R8 V8 that was recovered into us. Someone else has had a little look. Not too deeply, thankfully, and I'll tell you why I know that. It's come to us with a misfire, and I kind of know some bits already, but we'll sort of go through it. So if you step through here, Davlar.
I will. If you just, excuse me.
And focus on the dashings.
Right, hang on. Let me just adjust the lighting slightly.
Do you want me to pull that out of the way?
There we go.
And you will see that the service is due. Right, so if I start it up, and you're going to watch that engine light.
Hang about. Wait a minute.
You see it?
Yep.
So lights on, and then it'll flash.
Flashing.
So flashing engine warning light on one of these means you've got a misfire. And in a minute, it registers a misfire, then it will cut the cylinder out completely. For misfire control, cylinder shutdown.
Yeah.
Watch your tip so I don't bang you with the door.
Mind my tip, sir.
I know, it's right at the corner of the door height. So what we're going to do is, we are going to get our Carly app, put Carly in. So let's have a look, see what fault codes it comes up with. So ignition on, Carly app, go to connect, and it will go through everything. So it connects to the scanner, then it looks at the car.
There we go.
Generating vehicle insights.
I'm going to play some lift music in the background.
Diagnostics, air conditioning. We want systems with issues. Where's engine? It says engine doesn't have any issues. That's a lie. Let's check, shall we? So just to do a full scan.
A few moments later.
So even for a homeowner, this is how important electronics are now, or diagnostic tools, because without it, you haven't got a chance. At least this sort of, you know, helps you out. We get so many inquiries, people come in going, oh, can we just plug in?
Yeah.
Can we just check? Right, what do I want? There we go, engine, 4 issues. Right, in both engine ECUs, look, so let's see what we've got. Right, injector A, voltage supply circuit faulty. That's stored in the engine control unit. Lambda sensor bank 1 aging, it isn't that. That's our misfire problem.
Yep.
So if we go to engine 2, engine coolant temp sensor, rear heater core temp sensor, fuel level sender, and cylinder suppression. Cylinder suppression is cylinder shutdown. Now I know this one is engine 1, and injector supply voltage faulty is it basically the injector driver. I think the injector driver in ECU 1 is not firing the ECU.
Okay.
Now I kind of know a little bit of this because the customer had already tried doing some bits and pieces with another garage. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically scope injector 1 and injector 2 and compare them back to back with our Pico scope. So
you're literally going to scope it out.
I'm going to scope it out. But that tells you, like, you know, straight away, look, tells you what you've got faults in. You've got 4 major faults. In ABS, you've got engine control unit load signal, which you will get. So engine control unit load signal fault is the engine's load axis on fueling, ignition timing, cam timing is airflow. It's not throttle position. So that's a like a manifold based or a speed density tuning method. What they do on these, on where you have a MAF sensor or a mass airflow sensor, is the load axis is on air mass, so air volume into the engine. That then, by it knowing how much air it's consuming, it knows how much load and then how much torque the engine is producing. And then it transmits that signal around the car because ESP needs to know how much torque is being applied to the car to request a torque reduction for, say, wheel slip. So if you're spinning your wheels, it won't go, just shut the throttles. It will say, please reduce torque by X Newton meters. And then the car goes, oh, reduce torque by X Newton meters. If you had, say, an R-tronic or DCT, it would do the same thing. So the engine puts onto the CAN bus, and we have to play with this a lot on the twin turbo stuff. The engine will put out an engine load simulated and an engine load actual onto data bus. The gearbox looks at it and then goes, right, I'm going to do a gear shift. You need to reduce torque by X for me to shift. And then it sends back a torque request. The engine obeys. The gearbox does the shift, and then the torque comes back in because of what the gearbox sends him back out. Same as with ESP. When you're driving and you get a little wiggle and your ESP light flashes up, the ABS module or the ESP module will say to the engine, reduce torque by X amount. That's why tuning cars and chipping ECUs, when it's done by an absolute moron, your car's dangerous.
Yeah.
Because they start manipulating the torque tables and they don't understand how much impact it has on other systems. So choose a good tuner. Right, anyway, that was a rant.
Today's top tip.
I know. So engine load signal is because of what's going on with the engine ECU. That is stored in ABS, so that will go. And then the other fault is supply voltage, which we knew it had a flat battery anyway. So, lad, what I'm going to do now is take ECU out the side, remove the security screws, which is going to make everybody cry, including me, because it's horrible. So we can get to the back of the connectors, and then we will use our pin-out tools to hopefully get a scope trace, and we'll see what it's doing.
Sounds like a plan.
It is kind of a plan. And then we will discuss next steps.
Right, we are now round the back.
I have my arms in the back end. Someone's had a go on that side. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull these two ECUs out. Why are you wearing sunglasses?
Where is he? Let's see. Shade? No?
Hey? Yeah. I know. One day we'll tell the story. Mitch is not allowed to wear sunglasses near any of us anymore. Yeah.
The mic won't have picked that up.
Yeah.
But
Mitch is owned by a very tall Dutch man now. Right, this is ECU 1, so bank 1, so this is cylinders 1 to 4, and you can see the 4 security screws. They have not been touched, whereas, and wing covers for all you moany bitches out there. Because this car's clean, I can put wing covers on it. Don't put wing covers on dirty cars. And then what we'll do is we'll take these off. But somebody, Davlas, had a go at these ones.
oh dear.
Because we have some cuttings. Yeah, you can see someone's been chasing it because it's got new NGK coils on, so they're not OEM ones. You've got to be really careful what coils you put on because there's a lot of fakes, or there's a lot that float around and everyone thinks, like it always does my head in when people like doing 1.8Ts and they've got, oh, R8 coil upgrade because they put red coils on their car. When what they don't realise is coils, certain coils have different current limitations, and all these cheap copy ones don't have current limiting. So if you leave the dwell on the coil too long, you melt the coil. So yes, different coils have different powers, but they also have different current limiting to protect ECU. So you've got to be careful with that. We see that loads. That's why, like a Gen 2 R8 doesn't have red coils, it has grey ones. The manufacturers know what they're doing.
I think that's the takeaway from all this, isn't it?
Yeah.
They spend
Millions, millions, developing stuff. And then, yeah, literally some idiot with a Facebook page thinks he knows better. All right, so if I pull that one out, look, Mush, you can see somebody's had to go at that.
Yep.
And they've cut grooves in, which is fine. That's how we remove them. But that's not how we would leave them. So the telltale tit is going to be whether we can get them out or whether someone bottled it.
Bit of music while you work.
Super Mario, mate.
Ah.
Don't know why.
Well, hey, why not?
Yeah, so they came out. So we've got the security off one ECU.
Good.
Now I need to do the scary bit and get the security off the other ECU, which is going to involve a spot of grinding.
And these ECUs retail for
1,800 quid
each.
Yeah, something
Ouch.
like that. It's not what I said. Not what I said, mate. I have seen people put like wire cutters on them and sort of get them out with wire cutters, which kind of works.
Yep. Sounds a bit messy.
Like put a set of wire cutters on them, grip them and turn them. I've always struggled. So what we've always done is got a Dremel and cut a slit in them. Cut slittings. But what I need for that now is my Dremel. Or my air grinder. What should I use? Air grinder?
Glasses.
No.
As you can see here.
He's on grinder again.
He's
Grinder.
grinder. Is that why you need eye protection?
Now, the good thing about doing it like this is the heat from doing it also melts the Loctite.
That's a handy little byproduct.
Still doesn't. There we go. Awful, mate. I hate it. The worst ever thing.
Yeah.
Getting security fucking screws out of ECUs. I don't know why they did it. Yeah, but I could just do everything through the OBD port. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Oh. Safety first. Trying not to cut a hole in the ECU. So I've seen some people like get two out and then like bend the frames and stuff like that to just get the plugs off. But we carry new ones of these in stock, so the last thing we'll do is keep the brackets in good order. And put new security screws on before it goes out.
Proper job.
Hello, Kegleb. That's a little ripper of a tool, mate. Right, last one, mate. Great progress has been made. This is where I fuck it all up. Oh, drop me tool. So it starts to round off, like round the groove out, and then you're in trouble. Like that. Oh. Carl, do me a favour. Come and hold the ECU, please. Oh, yeah, boy. Thanks, mate.
Well held, sir. So as you were saying,
Yeah, I would have asked Mitch to do it, but we probably would have ended up backwards in a wall. Probably too soon. Only you, like seriously, innit? Do you never like sit there on the edge of your bed in the morning and go, what impossible shit can happen to me today? Every day. The tears are real. Right, security keys, no, brackets off. So let us have a tidy up. We do it on the airbox, that'd be easier. Wiring diagram. They're electrical normally, but that doesn't work for video. So we need to look at ECU 1. So if you've never read one of these before, you're in for a real treat. Okay, so how Audi do their wiring diagrams is voltage starts at the top and earth track is along the bottom. All right, so J623 is engine control unit. So what we want to do now is we want to scroll along J623, this control unit, until we find the injectors. So N291 is ignition coil. So you've obviously got voltage in, 2 grounds, trigger, and the high voltage out. And here's our injectors, right? So these are direct injection injectors. So they don't work like a normal high impedance injector. High impedance.
high impedance.
I say it wrong. High impedance. Or peak hole or whatever, which is fed a 12 volt supply off your fuse box and then your ECU triggers them. How these work is the ECU generates the 65 volts it takes to open the injector. Which is why when you look at the 2 injectors, Dav, 30, 31, 32, 33, so cylinder 1, cylinder 2, cylinder 3, cylinder 4, you can see it comes out of the ECU and it goes back into the ECU, yeah?
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to scope across injector 1 and we're going to scope across injector 2. And the reason we're going to do both is we then get a comparison. We get a comparative pattern. Because if you don't know what they should look like, the trigger pattern, then at least this way you go, well, I know one's all right, one's not all right. Or we can do like 1 and 3 or 1 and 4, whatever's easiest, whatever's closest together. I'll probably do 1 and 4 because I'm 2 and 33 and 17 and 32. So I can put 2 pins next to each other in the plug. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back pin it. So we need to be on the 60 pin plug, which is the ECU side of the harness plug, which is here. So we need to be in this plug, right? Now straight away, look, what can you see? Tape. So we know someone's been there before, right?
Yes.
I do know someone's been here before. And a little reason why I know it's not a coil, a plug, is because of the fault codes I've got, yeah? So I know I've got an injection fault. Because if it was a spark plug, we wouldn't have had the fault codes we had.
Yep, of course.
So again, if I didn't have an ability to read fault code, I would probably still start with coils and spark plugs. But this is again where there's differences to, say, the 5 litres that we did.
Yeah, the Gallardos.
Yeah, it's this gives us a big jump in what we can do. Because the Gallardo, I had a funny feeling what it was going to be. And this comes back to sort of like having your hunch, following your hunch. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you were saying before, you
Yeah.
can often jump a few steps when
Yeah.
you've...
Like, in all honesty, I think this is going to be an ECU fault, which is why I'm going straight for the scope. I don't think it's an injector fault. I think it's an ECU fault. Now, the reason I think that is because the fault code, it's not saying injector open circuit, which it would do if it had failed electrically inside. And it's not saying like a short to ground or short to positive or anything along those lines. It's actually giving me a driver fault code, which is the driver inside the ECU. So it's basically saying the ECU cannot drive the injector.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm going here first. My plan is to scope it and see what we get. And we can prove our theory by cloning the ECU across if we have to. So what I want to do is I want to see what's going on in here. Nothing serious, to be fair. I think people have just been trying to get to... yeah. When you're trying to diagnose something, there's no right or wrong answer. There's just, at the end of the day, all you're trying to do is, if you make a list of everything it could be, right? So if you sit here now and you go, right, cylinder 1 has got a misfire, and you make a list. So it can be fuel, ignition, compression. That's all it needs. It needs air, it needs something wet, something dry, and a tight space to do it in. Whee! Right?
Another t-shirt logo there.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're missing one of these 3 things, you don't have a fire, you don't have a bang. And again, then there's varying things about whether you've got a soft misfire, a hard misfire, whether you've got incomplete combustion. We've got a hard misfire. We have a cylinder down. So we've only got 3 things we've got to find. So say, for example, if the injector's fine, is it fuel pressure? If it's fuel pressure, is it because the filter's blocked, or is it because you've got a pump issue? Is it because you've got a pump controller issue? Is it because you've got your engine control unit not driving your pump controller? Is it because you've got a voltage issue? If you've got no spark, is it a spark plug? Is it a poor earth? Is it a coil? Is it wiring? Is it an ECU? Is it a crank sensor? All these sort of things, right? So all you're trying to do is make a list of everything it could be, and you're slowly working your way out to cross everything off the list. That's all we're trying to do, right? Same as this. So we are going to look at the ECU, injector 1, which is T60, so that's a 60 pin plug, right? Pin 2, which is the top row, second one in, which is a black and white wire, yeah? And pin 33, so we go 1 to 15, 16 to 30, 31, 32, 33. Third one in on the bottom row. Right, so we go 1, 2, 3, and it should be printing colour, lad. Black and lilac, black and purple. So we can do that, right? So they're the 2 for injector 1. And then what do? We want to go 17 and 32. So 17 and 32 is brown and white, Now I've done this on purpose because 17, right? This is a Mr. Hurst trick, this is. 17 is second one in on second row, right?
Yep.
And 32 is the one next to 33. So those two, right? So if I put those two there, and I get my other screwdriver, and I put these two here, all right? They're the two we're going to scope. There's no point picking cylinder 2 if the pins are at the other end, because we want to be here. So what we're going to do is, all right, get my Pico tool. All right, and then you end up with lots of tools like this. So we're going to pick, we're going to use channels A and B. So we just go A and B, need those two, and we're going to pick 2 spiky ones, yeah, which are like that. So pretty flexible, yeah, not too aggressive. And then 2 go on the other side, like that, right? So let's move this scope over it. Ouch. So I've got my scope, little Pico scope, right? Block myself in. Right. I do not use this every day, so this is going to be a train wreck to everyone watching. But it has got an idiot's guide to setting stuff up. So, one's in, 2's in. So there's 2 channels, all right? So I'm going to open the software. We've got 4 pins here. Got power. There we go. Right. So you've got to find it in the software, hit OK, so it talks to the unit. There we go. So you want to do an actuator. Ignition communications, yeah, we want to do an actuator. We want to do an injector, and it should, there we go. So we are, an MPI is like multi-point, so like a normal port injector. A GDI is a direct injection. So we're just going to we'll just do voltage for now. We're dangerous, we live on the edge, so we'll just accept that. The purpose of this test is to evaluate the operation of the GDI injector circuit switching signal. Guide and settings file, load settings file. So, in theory, that's what we should get. And this will tell us how to perform a test. Use manufacturer's data to identify the positive feed and switched earth circuits. Connect Pico scope channel A to inject the positive feed. Connect channel B to the injector switched earth. So what we're going to do first is we'll just go across 1. So there you go. So it shows you the voltage feed and the earth side. And that's how we're going to connect them. So first off, we'll just do 1 injector. So it tells us just to back pin it, yeah?
Okay.
Into what we think is the earth and the ground. So we're going to go, I think pin 33 is the power supply. So we're just going to You ain't got to cram it in there. You just want to feel a bit of resistance. And then number 2 is pin 2. Yeah, like so. Plug that in. Right. Oh, bless me.
Oh, bless you.
Thank you, mate. Right, let's find a ground for those. Get the paperwork out of the way. Earthings, dear boy. Like so. Right. So, bear that in mind. Engine at idle. That's pretty much what we should see, right? So if I minimize that a second. Okay.
Yes.
And I turn the ignition on. If I go running. No scaling. Probe expected. Probe found. Run with fan probes. I don't know. This will work or it won't work. And then we fire the old girl up. Why is that not reading then, mate? Right, so this is cylinder 4. So you can see, I'll put a trigger in.
Yeah.
Let me get that out of the way for you. Yeah. So that's both sides of cylinder 4 injector. So that's pins 17 and 32. Watch what happens now when I go to injector 1.
Okay. Gone.
Yeah. So that's still cylinder 4, that's
Yep.
cylinder 1. And if I move it to the other side, nothing.
Yep.
So I don't have an output on my ECU, but because we've obviously almost got a cylinder shutdown problem, let me go in and restart it to
Yep.
show that it doesn't.
Okay.
Does nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. All right?
Oh, it's on now.
Yeah. As a freak out.
Yep. It's gone again.
Right, so let me swap to the other one. And I'll show you what it should do. So we're 1732, 1732, plugged in. The second it starts running, it should give you scope trace.
Yeah, we're on.
Now, the reason I did that was because while the engine light is flashing, it's detecting a misfire, but it hasn't shut the cylinder down. Just make sure it's not too hot, it's fine. It hasn't shut the cylinder down. If I sit there and leave the car idling, it will shut the cylinder down. So then you sit there and you go, oh, it's got no output.
Yeah.
You're in cylinder shutdown. So you've got to either erase the codes or switch it off, switch it back on. So you just got to bear that in mind. But you saw the difference.
Yeah, yeah,
I fired it
absolutely.
up.
Yeah.
Cylinder 1 tried to go, had a little spaz,
Yeah.
and then shut down. Cylinder 4 was running mint. So that is that old girl on the blink.
Oh.
So that's the problem. Now, there's what we could do here to prove our theory that it's an ECU is clone the two ECUs and swap them bank to bank. Which, to be fair, we could do. I could literally read off that, clone them side to side, because we can do it on, we should be able to do it on bench. And then that will prove it without doubt. So let me get some equipment out and we'll see what's what. So what we've got here is CMD. And what we're doing is we're bench reading the ECUs.
Very cool.
Now what this essentially does is, like if you're working on a Windows computer and you take an image, this takes an image. So it takes a complete image of the ECU, everything. And then what we do is, because they're two identical ECUs, and I'm trying to prove that I've got a hardware fault with one. 1, 2, 3, 4, there. We've copied both images out of both ECUs, and I will swap the ECUs bank to bank. And then see if our fault swaps.
Very clever. Eh?
But so at least another step, takes us half hour, but tells us whether we've got a hardware problem.
Yep. And what's the best and worst case if there is a problem
so
with that?
best case is, well, this will prove that we've got an ECU problem, and then we order a new ECU. We could, in theory, get a second-hand ECU, and I can clone the information off it as long as the part numbers and everything match. I can clone the original ECU onto the second-hand one, or the customer might go, we'll just put a new ECU on it. So we have options. I don't really like using second-hand parts because obviously there's a risk there, but I also understand that sometimes there's a budget constraint and people don't want to spend £2,000 on a box, which is what it'd be by the time you put that on it.
And how common are these failures?
Not very.
Okay, so this
9 times out of 10, if there's a failure, it's because someone's fucked around.
Right.
Because in the early days, you had to open them, take 6 screws off, warm them up, peel the case off. Some you still do now, and that would cause issues. So, because people do it wrong.
And they'd be getting inside so they could effectively
Chip them.
Chip it.
That's how you used to have to do it.
Old school chipping,
Yeah. Doesn't happen so much now unless someone's encrypted the ECU and we can't talk to it. But 9 times out of 10, I'll flash it back to stock and start again, which will take all that off anyway.
Yep.
So you load the original, what's called SGO file. So Corey's Lambo, when he broke his TCU, that's what we did essentially. I loaded a bone stock file onto it. Continue. Right, so this is now originally ECU2, so this is going to become ECU1. So if I go to my backups and just rename this ECU2, right, and I'm going to go, right, no, what I will do is I will take those two, I will copy them, paste. Right, so we are loading ECU2, so I need to write backup 1, ECU1. So we've repacked them and we're just writing them as opposites now. So originally number 1, I'm writing it as number 2. I've already done number 1. So we'll wait for this to finish, we'll load them on, and then in theory, the fault code, the misfire should swap bank to bank. In theory. And then we know it's the ECU.
Those damn ECUs.
Those damn ECUs. Done. Right. Let's just try it, dear boy.
It's the moment of truth.
Moment of truthy.
We should do these in several parts and get people to place their bets in the comments as to what they think it is.
Yeah. You okay?
Yeah.
Yes, you are. What you want? We were. Right, mate. So, let us turn the ignition on and clear said errors with a young hot blonde called Carly. Diagnostics, and we go for check for issues. We'll put that there.
Yep. Ah, nice pick.
Thanks, mate. I look good. Done.
I watched the clip of Dunlop stopping to put his visor back on.
Oh, not good. That is it. Nope. Someone's
look
getting
happy.
lynched.
Yeah.
Yeah, not cool. Yeah, I feel sorry for the guy that did it, but
Yeah.
oh God, yeah.
There's some things you're just going to struggle to come back from.
And then you've got sort of public execution, haven't you?
Yeah.
You're hung, drawn, and quartered just by.
Well, especially with the way social media is these days.
Yeah. Just because it was on telly.
Right, so I'm not sure where to look now.
So show results. We do it on
look.
Tefalonis. All right.
Okay.
And we just go clear issues.
I've got a few issues could do with clearing.
Yep. Penicillin will sort that right out, mate.
Come on. We're impatient, but to be fair, this is pretty quick, isn't it?
Yeah, it's no slower
Considering-
than using anything else. It's a damn sight quicker than factory diagnostics.
There
It
you
takes
go.
forever. So I've cleared the codes, and I'm just making sure now they're gone, because that's just what you do. You don't want to sort of fire it back up and you haven't checked the codes.
Yep.
There we go. Show results. Nothing. All right. Oh, one in air conditioning. So start it up. Should run. Right, just misfiring. We go back. And then if we go diagnostics, check for issues. Do it again. 8 issues found, Davila.
Ah,
What have we got? Right, 2 issues in engine, 2 issues in engine. What have we got? Supply voltage faulty. They're the other way around now, aren't they? The same as what we had before, but... You might
Here we go.
Okay. Right, so if we go close, and if we go into engine. Didn't fix it.
Oh.
No, weird one. Because that fault code normally means it's a driver. My only other theory is whether someone in the wiring where they've done repairs in the past has made a mistake. So what I think I'm going to do is there's a loom that goes on the back of the engine here that controls the injectors. There's plugs down the back and the throttle bodies.
Yep.
So what we'll do is we'll pull the airbox out and we'll just see if we can get to that wiring, and we'll just start doing some wiring checks because looking at live data, I have got misfires on 1 and 3. So cylinder 2 does a misfire counting, does a misfire control. And looking through it, I've got misfires on 1 and 2. But Carly was right, it hadn't swapped bank to bank.
Okay.
So there we go. An assumption being the mother of all fuck-ups. Because after reading the codes, I assumed that's what it was. But this is all a learning experience.
It is indeed.
Last one I had that had done that, it was a driver and ECU.
Right, okay.
But now, obviously, because the ECU needs to know the lots of odd airbox screws. If the feedback's not coming round, so say for example, someone's had the wiring apart and accidentally crossed injectors 1 and 3.
Yep.
You know, is it that? Multitasking. So let us pray. So what I'm going to do now is pull the airbox out.
Like a sir.
Yep. Right. Like that. And how can I help? Let's take that off there. Nope. Jubilee clips on the wrong way anyway. Let's take the intake tube off. Right, let's take this intake tube off so we can see a little closer.
As my grandpa used to say, let the dog see the rabbit.
Yep. Or what was it? Can't see woodfoot trees.
Aye, lad.
Can't see woodfoot trees. That's northern speak, that.
Like dark
Right.
side speak, that.
Aye.
Reet.
Read then. Okay, so if we go back to our diagram of wirings, T14F it goes to, which is a 14-pin connector in the engine compartment in black. I have a funny reckoning. It's this old girl because they're all lambda probes. So if I pop that out of here.
Lambarda, as somebody said recently.
It does bloody all look in good condition, dear boy. Right. that to that, that to there, that to there. No one's been in that. No one's been in there. That's not being repaired. Hokey dokey. So we know that, right? Pin 1 here and pin 2. Pin 1 should be red and black.
Hang on.
Which it isn't. And a black and white. T14F pin 2 should be black and white. And brown and white, which is injector 3. Interesting, dear boy. Very interesting. Pin 6 is still a brown and white, so that doesn't help me at all. Pin 7 should be blue and red. No, pin 5 is blue and red. Pin 5 is a purple. This is a face of confusion, Davla.
I can see the look of
Right, purple and brown and white. Purple and brown and white is injector 3. They should be in 5 and 6. They are in 1 and 2.
Oh.
Right, next pair. Black and lilac and grey and yellow. Well, 3 and 4, they are coiled together. And 7 and 8. So there's me pairs. So I've got brown and white and lilac. It'll be brown and white and blue and red, which are 5 and 6. Brown and white and red. This is the danger of the diagrams of wiring, because that don't make any fucking sense, lad. So the problem I've got right now is, right, 1 is red and lilac. Nope. 3 is red and black, which is 1 apparently. Right, so what this is saying here is what my wiring diagram is telling me to injectors 1, 2, 3 and 4 is my wiring isn't right here.
right.
Bear with me, caller. So, let's get a voltmeter and figure out what is what. And we'll see where we stand. Or, well, let's look at it that end, because the wiring wouldn't change in the loom. So, in the words of your dear old granddad, let the dog see the rabbit. Right, so, and Matt Crozius, so. Pin 1 at the ECU. Right, pin 2 at the ECU is black and white. And that should go to pin 2 at that plug, which is this old one here, right? It does go into loom, and it don't go anywhere. Right, pin 33 is lilac and black, and that should go to pin 1. which it doesn't, it goes to pin 3. Right? Pin 1 is yellow and black, and that should go to pin 4, which is correct. Right? Pin 47, so you go 46, 47. Pin 47 is red, and that should go to pin 3. Which is not correct. That's in pin 7. Pin 16 is brown and white, and that should go to pin 6, which is correct. And pin 48 is lilac, should go to pin 5, which is pin 1. Pin 17, I feel like I'm reading a football score.
It does sound like, yeah, 4-4, he's 5-5.
Right, brown and white. So I've got 2 brown and whites. Pin 17 should go to pin 8, which it does, I just don't know whether it's the correct one. And then pin 32, which is that one, is blue and red, should go to 7, which it does not.
What is going on?
That would answer a lot of injector control issues. Right, let's take some photos, let's take some notes, and we will, I need my vault here. Whee. Right, mate, if you hold, can you hold the black probe for me? So basically, we've got some discrepancy between the ECU end of the plug and this plug here, which is the loom side that then goes off to do the injectors. Yeah, because I don't think they have cocked up, unless, what's that one? That one's been messed around with. So pull that one out then, just in case. Yeah, and undo that one.
That looks like surprisingly
New, I thought that.
like almost like the
Yeah.
covers new.
This is,
What is that? Is that one? Is that the main loom, or is that go to the injector?
yeah, one bit goes round to the injectors. So have they cut? So basically we're trying to work out whether they've unpinned it all, because I've got an injection error. And I've gotten, yeah, I've swapped them bank to bank and it didn't make a difference. So now it's, what we thought there was, I had, where I've gone to the wiring, the pins allocation all seems wrong. But I've got misfires on 1 and 3, and the fault code I've got is injector power circuit A fault. So I just want to make sure that, yeah, because
That one's been out. Or?
it all looks rubbish. Yeah, that's bloody... But does that look new to you?
That side doesn't, but the other one.
They haven't cocked them up, have they? There is a pin missing there, that one. Can you just put your probe on them, lad? Right, so if we go, so I'm doing 1, 2. Right, mate, you are going number 2, please. Should be a black and a white. Yeah, right. Number 1, please. Right, so injector 1's right. Right, that was a lilac and black and lilac. Right, pin 1 on my end, and you should be pin 4 should be yellow and grey. And then pin 3 should be red. Right. Pin 6 should be black, brown and white.
Yep.
And pin 5 should be purple.
Yep.
Pin 8 should be brown and white.
Yep.
Yeah, and then pin 7 should be blue and red. Okay, so the next thing is then, if we do, like the car side, and I get some connectors to push onto them, we can do continuity across the injectors. Because I've swapped ECUs, wiring up to the back of the head is right. That's the only thing now, is that the injector is bombing a signal, like crashing a signal.
The plot thickens.
Yep, and the wiring to them and through them is right. Well, very confused. Very confused. Very confused. Red and black. .7. Weird one. The good thing is we've got a bank we can compare against. So we've swapped ECUs bank to bank, made no difference. So injector circuit A is injectors 1 and 3. B is 2 and 4. C is 5 and 7. And D is 6 and 8, excuse me. Everything's wired up correctly because we've pinned that out. So we're happy with that. I've just put a voltmeter just as a quick test. When it's running, I get no output from 1 and 3, which we knew on a scope pattern anyway, because we back to back to 2 and 4. But if I compare 2 and 4 with 5, 6, 7, 8, I've got low voltage, which is almost like resisted earth. Now, that might be a shout. Something's going on with the control unit. I don't think it's the loop between the injector. The wiring's fine. The injector resistance is fine. They're all the same. All 8 injectors have the same resistance. The wiring to the injector and back has no resistance. It's not short to ground. It's not short to live. So I'm happy with the wiring. But something is either affecting the grounding of the ECU and saturating the driver, or it doesn't have enough power in the ECU. Now, it doesn't tell me the internal tracks of the ECU. It just tells me there's a load of lives and there's a load of earths. It doesn't tell me what it's doing. The lives are there. The 3 big lives are there. But I'm just thinking now whether it's an earth problem. Yeah, because it's strange. This has been opened before. And you can see where people have probed into the wiring. But where's the grounds on these? They go back here, don't they? Was there always 1 ground or 2 grounds? Can you remember?
2, I think 2 as well. It goes back down.
Yeah, back
Down the side. Bolts to the side of the frame. I'm sure there's 2.
I thought there was bloody 2. What's that?
Down behind the cage.
Well, there's 1 there and it's tight. Might have that cage out. I think that's the valve controller.
No, there's 2 on that side.
There are 2 that side. There's a wire that comes up here. That's, yeah. Well, let's unplug that, get that out of the way. So we can take this. It's weird, mate. It's like ignition's off now. Let's turn the ignition off. Let's go Billy basic. No, 1, 2. Bloody hell. Nothing's green in them. Right, so we've got the 60 plug, the 60 pin, that's internal, yeah? And then that's the ground. There's another one underneath, I think, though, isn't there? Right, let's have that frame out. Let's figure out what's going on. It does feel a bit like it's burned a blade, isn't it? Dav's just nodding along. There is another earth there pointing downwards. Whatever it is tight, but doesn't mean to say, like you said, whether it's trapped. I give up.
That's not a happy face.
No. No. So there's me plugging it in thinking, oh, it must be ECU. Just goes to show how many times it isn't the ECU. So to run you through it, the ECU fires the DI injectors in a pair, or the driver controls them in a pair. So injector circuit A, which is the error code we've got, does 1 and 3. B does 2 and 4. C does 5 and 7. And D does 6 and 8 on this bank. So there's 2 drivers in there, 2 drivers in there. Right, swapped ECUs bank to bank, made no difference. We have live at ECUs, which we've checked. We've checked the ground, that's okay. We've checked all the power supply fuses on the inside, they're okay. It misfires as soon as you start, and it counts misfires on 1 and 3. So we know it's not firing the injector. We know it's not firing the injector because we've scoped 1 and 3, and I have no pattern. Now, the difficulty is you need it all plugged in to scope it. You can't just have the ECU there and put a scope up it, because it's not doing anything. You need it to be trying to do whatever it's doing to scope it. So compared, when we did it earlier, if you remember, we scoped it and compared against the other one, you could see 1 was dead, 3 is dead. Now, when I turn the ignition on, and unplug both injector looms and sit them side by side and check the live side, or check basically the resting voltage. They were all the same, weren't they? Between 6 and 7 volts. It's all 8 injectors. The second I start it, I get nothing on 1, I get nothing on 3, and then we were low. Yeah, low on the other 2 compared to the other bank. And again, this is a problem when you do a continuity test. There is continuity between the ECU plug there, the injector plug here, and there is continuity through the injector loom, through the injector and back. Now that means shit all, because the circuit's not under load. You can have a strand of wire that will show continuity, and the second you try to put load through it, you get a resistive load. Now, the problem is, because I don't get any output from the ECU at all, I can't chase the voltage. So say you had a brake light switch and a brake light, and you had 12 volts at the brake light, but you had a very dim brake light switch. You could go along the junctions, 12 volts at a brake light switch, but a dim brake light. You could go along all the junctions through the car and go 12 volts, 7 volts. Right, I know the problems between here and here. That's how you fault find wiring faults. I've got the ECU, I've got the injector loom, and I've got the injector. The problem I've got is, to get to injectors, I've got to take inlet manifold off, so car doesn't run. So I can't do anything there. So here's my only point in between that I can check. But I get no output from my ECU, so I have no way of going, oh, I've got 65 volts coming out of my ECU, but I've got nothing here. It knows straight away, or the fault in the system straight away is dragging the drive down. So no matter, the next step is take the inlet manifold off, because the next step after that is to hardwire both injectors to the ECU. We build our own loom and we completely cut out the rest of the wiring. And like Carl said, while you're in there, you swap the injectors 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Because at least then you know if it's an injector causing a problem, it should instantly go onto injector circuit B. Mitch said it's a broken valve spring. Which, let's be honest,
I mean,
that's what caused the last one, and we chased our ass on that. So anyway, I've had enough. Just goes to show, doesn't it? Diagnosis, 100%. I was like, oh, do you know what? We'll knock this out in an hour. Nope. It's turned into a floppy, drunken marathon of getting nowhere. Just pounding away. No? Don't worry. It'll happen. You don't drink enough anyway, do you? Oh, I bumped into someone in B&Q, by the way, who knows you.
no, no one knows me.
Yeah.
Who was that?
The guy who knows why you're a legend on tour.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, that old chestnut.
Yeah. So I know the story. So to get the answer to what that story is, you need to message me what the fix is, and the winner will be told. Yeah, make your guesses now. No, I'm serious, make your guesses, because I ain't got a fucking clue.
Are we going to have a part 2 for this then?
We're going to have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a new series.
We're changing valve springs. Let's just take the engine out and change valve springs.
We've done a few valves.
Yeah.
Really,
So.
I liked in the last video, people were like, a valve spring common. We're like, ah.
Yeah.
We've done like 3.
Done loads. Injector circuit A fault. Misfires on 1 and 3. And no other faults. So whereas we were like, oh, maybe it was resistance, or maybe it was a bad earth, there's only one earth, it's not that. And again, like we were saying, if it was a common issue to the ECU, apart from one of the 3 main lives, you'd probably see it across more than one thing, wouldn't you? You wouldn't, why would it just affect, well, it could, but why would it just affect 2 injectors? Something's happening on that bus. Either injector 1 or injector 3, something's happening in that circuit, and I think it's bombing out the whole bus. It's dragging the bus down, which is why it happens there. So stay tuned. I don't know what will happen. There must be an R8 specialist out there.
Oh.
Let's send it somewhere else. That's what everyone else does. They can't fix it, they send them here. We need another level. My honest opinion is take the inlet manifold off, swap injectors 1 and 2, swap injectors 3 and 4, hardwire 1 and 3, and then we will see what's what. And if it's still broken after that, it's just a 6-cylinder V8.
More economical.
Yeah.
Right,
Honestly.
on that note.
On that bombshell. Like and subscribe, smash buttons, and tell us what we will do to fix it. Don't tell us what we've done wrong. Done loads wrong. Haven't fixed it, that's the main thing. But tell us what I need to do to fix it. And we'll see you for a week, lad.